Alright, what's going on, guys? So, I got the Linux from Scratch live CD going, so this is going to be just a basic rundown. And this is pretty much how it's going to go. Alright. First thing we need to do is, maybe I should have made a bigger screen here, huh? Thinking about that. Uno momento. First thing we need to do is we need to do something like we first need to clone. Okay. First we need to clone our good stable LFS that we're using, because anything can happen. We really don't want to mess up and be stuck without nothing. So we need to clone ROS. Okay. Second is that we need to also, if you have a original LFS from when you first started, the original, when you popped up the original boot. Okay. Basically how I did mine was I made the original, right? And then I cloned the original, and then build up that clone. Okay. So if you look at my boot, I pretty much have a LFS original and LFS clone that I actually build up. So that's how I'm gonna run it, like that. And I tried to actually use the one I was working on, and I don't see why you can't, but I think I have user permission errors because I didn't add the user properly. Okay, and you'll see that in my video. I added a user, but I don't think I did it a proper way, and I was getting all kind of errors with screen and everything else. And if you watched my LFS fail, you'll see something like that because of my LFS live CD fail. You'll see something like that because I didn't do the user permissions properly and everything else. But that CD actually booted and actually worked, but it was restricted in that you could not use screen. And actually, I think that's about it. SSH was, I think it might have worked, you know, but I just didn't like that fail. And it failed at the init on the boot. The init failed, or sysfinit or something like that failed, and it was actually just like an erroneous error. It would have still worked, but I got an error. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I want to clone my good OS, and then I want to clone if I can spell, clone my original. Okay. The only reason why I'm cloning my original is there's a couple reasons why. One is the OS I'm using now, the LFS, is kind of bloated up a little bit for live CD. Now, I want to keep it under 700 megabytes, okay? And the CD actually turned out to be about 600, something like that, so that's not a problem. But if you have a DVD and you want to go ahead and clone 3 gigabytes or whatever like that, or make a live CD with 3 gigabytes of stuff, okay. But that's really not what I want to do. I want to make a minimal, okay? So in making a minimal, I'm going to use my original LFS that I came up off of, okay? And pretty much where we will be is where the book stopped. After we booted, we are right at BLFS, okay? And that's what I'm going to clone over to build the live CD. Okay? Okay. So, let's clone pre-BLFS. Okay? And now you have two LFSs you can work with. You're going to need to work with. You're going to need to actually chroot into your stripped down LFS to build it. Okay. and chroot and everything else like that, and that's how that's going to go. Kernel I'm using is 2.6.16.27, which is the original LFS 6.2.3. That's the original kernel for that. Okay, that's what I'm initially going to be using, but I'm actually going to pop that up to a 2.6.22, and the reason why I'm doing that is 2.6.1627 has loopback support in it, which is okay, but I kind of wanted a little newer kernel than that one that I had, which was the 1627. So I popped everything up to a 2.6.22, and I did that to keep it kind of relative to the documentation that we're going to go over. I really didn't want to get something so radical that would kind of supersede the documentation, and the documentation I think is from like 2005. Now, why am I using something that old? It's the only thing I got, and at least it works, and I can go ahead now after this and see if it'll work with something newer and whatnot like that. And we'll go get the documentation too. But when we clone, I want to clone over with a 2.6.16.27 kernel. And the reason why is I don't want to add the 2.7 kernel to it, because it's going to add more modules that I really don't want. And instead of me going back and having to pull them all out, I might as well just beef up the kernel during chroot, and that way I don't have to worry about excess modules I don't need. Okay? And if you're having any problems following me, because I'm really not being that clear, I don't feel like I'm being that clear, then just watch and we'll definitely break it down as we go. So after we clone, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get some BLFS packages. Alright, and those packages will include stuff like screen, which will be actually one of the final ones. We have to get ifconfig going. We have to get SSHD going. We have to get simple stuff like traceroute. Okay, all that, just simple utilities that we would need, that we kind of take for granted with a mainstream operating system. But we want to get those utilities, and this is not restricted to these utilities alone. You can put anything you want on this livecd. You can make it however you want. I just wanted to really keep it minimal. Okay, and I would actually advise you to put more stuff on if you wanted to. It's, hey, remember that painter Bob Ross, or all you people in the USA? You guys know what I'm talking about. He said, you know, it's your world. Do what you want. So we're going to clone, we're going to get packages, okay, and we're going to get packs, and we need to get our 2.6.22 kernel, okay, and then after we get that, we need to beef up the kernel for our target LFS. Okay, let's beef that up, and after we beef it up, then we need to go get documentation, and after the documentation, we will start to build. Okay, and also too, in between there's also going to be another time here where I'm going to make a new kernel, for our host machine. Okay, so basically what we're going to have is we're going to have a host and we're going to have a target. Okay, and the host is going to come from our current LFS state. Okay, and our target will come from our previous LFS state, okay, which is pre-BLFS. Okay, And after we get the documentation for our target LFS, we're going to start to build during a CH root environment. And in the middle of that, we're going to switch up. We're going to add loopback support, because 2.6.16.27 doesn't have, or I didn't add loopback support natively. Well, no, that's wrong. I did not add loopback support, period. Okay? So I need loopback support, because you need loopback support to go ahead and mount an initrd and everything else. You need that loopback support from your host OS. So that's what we will do. Okay? And like I said, if I'm being pretty vague, forgive me, and we will definitely be able to clear it up as we go along. Okay? So that's what I got, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.